parts. So I knew that I said in my last video I'd be working on Cricky's Neon, but I lied. Instead I'm going to work on her LeBaron. So here's the introduction of Cricky's LeBaron. There it is in partial glory. Cricky's 86 LeBaron station wagon. So yeah, this is Cricky's 86 Chrysler LeBaron station wagon. It's actually a turbo model. I forget how many miles it has on it. I could look, but it was owned by an older lady down in Virginia, and she put a lot of money into it, drove it for a bunch of years. It was her daily. And I want to say back in 2017 or 2018, it needed an alternator for like the third or fourth time. And she was like, you know what, I'm done working on this thing. So she put it off to the side, started investing in her other car, you know, through 2019. And then 2020 happened, you know, the pandemic, so she didn't really do anything with it. 2021, she was like, all right, I'm going to give it to somebody who would appreciate it. And I already have one. And I was somewhat local. I was, you know, I'm about 2 hours away from where she lived. So I was like, hey, honey, do you want a LeBaron that would match mine? She was like, oh my God, absolutely. You know, and it's not like in very good shape. You know, she had a small accident in the front. You know, it's got some body panels that are messed up. The interior is a little dingy. It smells like cigarettes. So short-term plan is to just throw an alternator in it, make the windows go up and down on their own, and see how bad it is. I know that the rear shocks are blown and they're factory air shocks. They don't work very well. The front struts probably should be done. So I'm going to put neon struts up front. Probably Shelby Daytona springs in the rear. And then add air shocks to that. So I'll be able to adjust the level for if she loads stuff in the back. Now, we had a PT Cruiser a few years ago and she absolutely loved it. But it got totaled in a small fender bender after she hit the tire retread on the highway and I rebuilt the front end. So I'm like still salty that I bought brand new headlights for it and then it got totaled. But anyway, so she loved the PT Cruiser. She loved our station wagon. So she loves the thought of this being her car. You know, she can design it how she wants and we're not gonna have to argue or compromise over things because there's stuff I want to do to the other wagon that she doesn't want. So whatever she wants to do to this, she's going to get. So long-term plan is we would like to repaint it and redo the wood siding and redo the interior, but who knows when that's going to be. Short-term plan is to get it running and get it so she can kind of daily drive it during the nicer months out of the year. So let's get started. I'm going to pop the hood. So for the record, the interior is actually not in terrible shape. You know, like the seats aren't torn up, but they're not stained. It's just a little dingy. The carpet needs to be power washed. But it does start, and I drove it into the barn here. So I'll fire it up real quick for you guys, let you hear what it sounds like, and then we'll get on to doing the alternator. As far as the custom bodywork goes, this was crunched up a little bit. So the front valence has a crack in it, and the fender is caved in. And it's like pretty unfortunate because this is a late model, which is 86 and newer LeBaron, and it's hard to find the fenders that already have the wood paneling on them. So we parted out an earlier model LeBaron at the junkyard at some point last year. Bought a bunch of parts off of it, so we have some wood trim for it, but we really need to find a new fender and then a front end for it. Now, long-term goal is we're going to repaint it. So I don't need to worry about body and paint right now. But I mean, it does look a little bit like the person driving it does meth. So anyway, let's get on to the alternator. So first things first, this actually has a neon sized battery in it because I bought a battery for my SRT4 and then put it in this just to move it into the garage. The battery that was in this is in my Suburban, and the battery that was in my Suburban is dead. So eventually we'll get the correct battery back in here, but for now this will absolutely start the car. I'm gonna pop it on here, make sure it starts, and then we'll get to changing the alternator. So the only bad thing about parking a car in this barn is that the barn was built, I would assume the early 1900s. Cars were a lot smaller if you had one. This is definitely just made for animals. So I'm parked so close on that side, and there's, you know, some junk from our house renovation that, god damn it, can't fit through the doorway there. Not yet. So let's get this fired up. Yeah. Typical. These 80s Dodges hated idling. There we go. It runs and idles. The dash is, you know, not in perfect shape, but it's still, you know, not terrible. That's the window vibrating because it's actually not in there very well. Like the rubber gaskets are gone. So eventually I'm gonna fix the window regulators, try and get some gaskets in there. There's a nugget. So I've never done one of these, but I think they're the bolt in the front. That's the tensioner. And then there's a bolt back here. And that should pivot it down so we can get the alternator belt off. And then we just have to remove these bolts to get it out. So we'll start there. Some tools and some fizzy water. We can get cranking on this. I don't think I'm gonna need that, but it's always better to have it and not need it, need it and not have it. I'm gonna pull this battery terminal off. You always want to disconnect your battery terminals when you're working on an alternator because you could short something out. All right, what size are you? You're not a 14, so you're a 15. The Mopar, I should have guessed that one first. Oh no, I need a deep 15. There's that one. Front one is a 13. Same deal, you're gonna need a deep socket. Now, I gotta admit, I didn't think much about K cars when I was younger, except that I liked how they looked because they were dorky. But after owning one, man, these things are so easy to work on. It's like disgusting how easy it is. If you want to get somebody into cars that doesn't really know much about them, get them a K car. It's like they have just enough technology to be, you know, out of date but still easy to work, you know, like diagnose, because they have, you know, pretty smart computer. But they're just, you know, easy, simple vehicles. Lots of room in the engine bay. I'm loosening that tension bolt that I was talking about earlier. A little more if I can get the belt off. Once I have the belt off, we'll be kind of getting on towards home free. I'll just barely slide this off. There we go. All right, that's off.
let's take out this bottom bolt. There's a bolt on a stud on the bottom, or a nut on a stud rather. Alright, so there's that one. Oh, looks like a nut on a stone on the top. I might have to get this out a ways and then put a short 15 on it. Oh, shucks. It's a long bolt with a 15 on the back and the head's moving on the other side. I need a wrench. I actually went up into my garage and found a ratcheting 15 that I bought when I was in my early 20s. And it's from Harbor Freight. It's part of a pretty cheap set and it works really, really well. So I'll be able to really like, this AC line is in the way. My boy went upstairs and found my drum set, so he's messing around with it. Always something to do around here. All right, let's get this bolt out. Try and catch all the little rubber washers and stuff off of it. Let's see. Let's see. I guess now is as good time as any to get the electric connections off. Well, it's a little hard to see, but this is still attached to that stud on the front, so I have to push that out. And then there's some connections over here. So this lady I got this from told me that, oh, I see, here we go, that's off. Her mechanic did some custom wiring on this. So basically these two little nuts originally went to a computer, or the computer of the car, and that's where the voltage regulator was. But the guy that she took this to put on an old school Mopar voltage regulator. Where even is that thing? So any old school Mopar guys will recognize that. It's an old voltage regulator. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it run, I mean, it has both hooked up right now. So I'm just gonna have it run on the computer one and see if it charges. And if it doesn't, then I'll disable the one that goes to the computer and just use this aftermarket one over here. Then if it's still not charging, it's probably one of them two that's causing the issues anyway. So loosen this one up. I don't even know what size those little things are. They're probably a 6 or something silly that I don't have. Let's see if I can get them off with pliers. Nope. I keep doing this. I'm gonna have to get out the round socket, and I can't find one. Oh, this one loosened up. Maybe I'll just get this one more little. Nope. All right. Off to the garage I go, because I don't have anything that small out here. So I found my socket set that I bought on a road trip a bunch of years ago because I desperately needed some tools. It doesn't have the 1/4-inch driver in it anymore, but I have my adapter. And I also found a little brother's Pog collection. If you're a kid from the 90s, you'll recognize these things. These are definitely going back to Andrew because I'm just going to mess them up. And it's kind of a 9:30 seconds. All right. I get these cracked loose. Got to get them worked off. That one, I don't think that's actually spinning. Well, yep, it is. There's two. That stressed me out probably a little bit more than it should have, but we made it. We made it. Oh, is this really bolted down? That's annoying. I guess those are 8 mils. Yes, Jerry. For what? Ask Mom. She is what? Okay. Little boy's having a fire. If you tell kids they can't do something, they're going to find a way to do it anyway, so might as well try and help them out while they do it. He's usually pretty safe about fire. Alright, let's get this out of here. This is this just got annoying pretty quick. Because the AC condenser that I assume doesn't work is in the way. Give me a second to figure it out. Well, I decided that I should probably just go ahead and pop off this AC condenser bracket. Here's my 11. Swing that over just enough to swing this up and out. All right, let's up, over, out the way. Wow, that's like really annoying. Well, that's busted fresh out the box. Let's see if I can get the old one off and get it on there. We do not want any arcing if we can avoid it. I guess it came with all new hardware, like bolts and whatnot. I'm going to see if I can pop this one off, swap it over. If not, it is going to get a liberal application of electrical tape. Keep the new hardware, trash the cover. I will say, I got this new alternator on super closeout, and I think the core charge was like $1. But usually, if you're dealing with like a parts store and the cover comes in snapped like that, they'll let you swap it out. There's those. That's where that goes. The new bolt on it. Oh. Got a little piece on there. Why not? Because it's funny. Stud actually has 2 thread pitches on it that are two different total thread pitches. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever noticed that. It's probably normal. But, you know, as I said, I am not an actual mechanic. All right, let's get this on. All right, now are these still these little weird, like, they're not 9/32, although it works on there. I want to know what they are. Oh, you know what? That's why. The socket's acting up. I don't know if you can see it that well, but it's actually got a big taper on there. And it won't reach the nuts once they're down all the way. Once they have stuff around them, it makes it really hard. All right. I feel less silly about this now. Drop it down kind of the same way. Pull the AC compressor up and out of the way completely. Bring this down, pivot. I gotta push that little, whatever you call that thing, I gotta push it in. Oh, dagnabbit. I gotta pull this big thing out of here, I think. The other alternator does not have it. Well, that's gonna be a job. Let me figure out how I'm doing this. So here's my idea. This little insert split right there. I figure if I squeeze this down real tight, I'll be able to, yep, pull it out and get this out. All I gotta do is transfer that onto there, squeeze in that thing a little bit. We'll be good to go here. You can kind of see what I'm doing from there. All right, so this little, oh, that just slides, that bushing slides. So, hey, what's up? This is all just gonna get just mashed together when I tighten this down. That poor woman is delusional. Let me tell you, folks. I've been dealing with my crap for 19 years almost, 18 some odd years. Well, I just learned something. Take the top bolt out, get the bottom one ran through first, then figure out the top one. Get the bottom one in. Yes. Get the bushing, get the bolt ready. Oh, you know what'd be great? My magnet. I'm gonna go grab that. There we go. All right. I slip on the nut that goes on the tension bolt. Maybe even loosen it a couple turns. And get this right around. So the alternator belt on this also runs the water pump. If you lose one, you lose the other. So it's really important that you have good alternator belt tension on these. Basically, I just try to get about half a twist of preload on here once I get it on there. All right, where's that wiring harness? Oh. I got these two little 8mm nuts off the new alternator. Oh, they're just hand tight. These little guys too. All right. That's pretty good. As far as that'll get it, put my little wrench on it. Just give it a little, just a hair of a turn. So just a little. Well, that's actually got a good bit to go. That a little, that just a little. All right. Time for the 10 to make a reappearance. Here's them. I can put the 15s on for the AC bracket again. Get this set back on there. I'm going to troubleshoot this because I really want to know if this works. Maybe it just needs a belt. Maybe it needs a compressor. Maybe it needs a recharge. I don't know. Let's give a little test. Oh. I bet if we throw a belt on that, it might hold a charge enough for a summertime trip. You know, the speed limit at the front of my house is like 35, and people go flying through here all the time. This is I guess this is payback for all those years that I drove like a dickhead through neighborhoods when I was a teenager. So when you do electrical stuff to your car and you're about to hook the battery back up, just tap it. You don't want to smack it down real tight right away, because you don't know if it's going to catch fire. Get my shirt out the way, put ground on, and just look for sparks. Oh, we don't see any sparks, so put the harness on it. Shirt under here. Anything that could fall in, we need to get out of the way. Including Andrew's Pug collection. Alright, let's see if she cranks. Ooh, we have lights, which, you know, we had before. Oh, folks, it is charging. I gotta tighten up that belt just a hair. It's idling and it's charging. This is a complete successful mission. And it didn't take that long. So yeah, I'm done. Only took a few hours. It was easy because the alternator is right on the front. You know, you saw I struggled a little bit getting the air compressor out of the way, which I kind of want to keep it because I'm getting older and I don't like the heat as much. But at the same time, like, it's really easy to just get rid of it and not have to deal with another belt. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. But just, you know, a couple minutes here and there during the day will get your projects finished up. You know, I always hear people saying, oh, I don't have time, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll talk about watching TV shows and stuff like that, which is fine. Like, however you want to spend your time is your time, but you can't complain about not getting your projects done if you don't make the time. So I just, you know, am making the time. You know, I had this big fear for a long time that if I didn't have the perfect day to work on something, you know, I wouldn't do anything. And I'd wait for the perfect day and it would never come. So just, you know, a couple minutes here and there will get your projects going along. You know, get you your cars charging and stuff like that. So this thing is, I think what I'm going to do next, I'm going to swap out the wheels and tires and put some fresh gas in it, because I can only assume this gas is from 2018 at the earliest, probably 2017. And so I'm going to put a couple fresh gallons of gas in it, and I'm going to take it for a trip up and down the road with a plate from my other car. So just to, you know, see where it's at. So I might do that tomorrow. It's going to be a little cold tomorrow. I might do it. Today's Tuesday, maybe Thursday. I might do it Thursday. Anyway, follow along. You'll see what I get done. By the way, liking, commenting, subscribing, stuff like that really helps the channel out. So help me out.